Well, welcome back, Raider Nation. This is Raider Sparks coming at you with the Raider roster reports. Obviously, some huge news coming out with Derek Carr contract and big news for the Raider Nation. So, get into a little bit of that today. Not a whole lot. It's been talked about a whole lot lately. So, I just want to touch on it real quick since it's the biggest news. Then I kind of go over the meeting or the visit tracker a little bit. We brought in a couple guys in the last day, I guess, since I did the last video. And then I wanted to do a round 3, 4, and 5 mock draft with you guys to kind of let you know kind of what's out there and what maybe we can get. But please like, share, subscribe, make comments, especially in the mock draft. I'm going to do 3 different scenarios. Let me know what you guys think about what I put together, or maybe what you do different, that type of thing, with the players that are sort of available in that range. But real quick, just to touch on Derek Carr, excited for him. The contract is definitely team friendly as they can get out of it after a year. His cap number did go up this year. Or actually, his cap number stayed the same. They just gave him a bonus. So, yeah, so all good there. Doesn't really change much. His projected cap hit for next year is 35 million. Obviously, the plan is to keep him. Obviously, so the one thing though that I'm not sure of, and I think this is kind of where they're going with this team friendly thing, is that since they could get out of it next year, like if they had to, they could basically tear up the contract and do a new one, signing bonus, the whole thing, and free up more money, I believe, from that cap. So, um, Carr is showing that willingness to work with the Raiders, and that's kind of what the other teams have done, especially like Tom Brady. If you look at his situation, that's basically what he does every year. They tear up the contract and do a new one, new signing bonus, lower the cap hit, and they move on. So, and you know, Carr's got the guarantee, right, for injury. It's like 62 million guaranteed. So, if he does get hurt, he's not playing on a 1 year deal. He actually has that in his back pocket as well with the no trade clause, a bunch of other things in the contract. But I mean, it's a flexible contract for the Raiders to do what they have to do from the salary cap standpoint. But I predicted last time I did the salary cap review with you guys that his cap number next year would be around 35 million, and that's actually what it comes out to. And so when we take a look at it, so with his cap number and the dead money, if the cap goes up to 225 next year, which I've seen some projections of that, I think it might go higher even with some of the revenues that are starting to get generated with the NFL. But even if, let's say, it goes to that, then we'll have, with Carr's contract, the dead money, and the 23 players we'd have under contract, we'd be about 82% of the cap right there with 23 players. Um, so yeah, that's kind of what we would have going on. So not a whole lot to spend like in free agency next year, because you know there's going to be more dead money. That always happens throughout the year. That the dead money will increase a little bit, that type of thing. So, I mean, yeah. So that's kind of where we're at with that, and but still leaves 28 players to get to the 51. So, I mean, that's a lot of players with only 18% of the cap to fill it with. And so that's why this year's draft is so important, and why I keep talking about the draft, because we need multiple draft picks. I know we have what, 5 now. I just think we're going to end up trading back, trading players, doing what we have to do to acquire more talent this year, so we can have a year under our belt to coach them up. Because really, if you look at the roster, we don't have a ton of positions of starting that we need starters from. I know a lot of people in Raider Nation think right tackle is a position of need for starter, but I'm kind of on the fence. So I'll get into that in a minute too when we get to my draft. But that's kind of where it is. But other than that, we don't really have a need for a starting position. I think maybe you could argue the safety position, we might need a starter there since we're doing the split safeties. But other than that, I think we're pretty solid with the rest of it. I think people want to bring in guards, offensive guards, to compete for starters, but we don't necessarily need a starting guard or whatnot, because we do have a lot of competition already on the line. So that's kind of where I see the roster at this point. So the draft is hugely important to get the guys in, to get them trained up for next year, because some of the guys that we just signed in these 1 year deals, we won't be able to afford them. Like, you know, Averett, Rocky Sin, some of the cornerbacks we brought in, if they ball out, which we think they will, it'd be tough to kind of kind of keep him on, given the fact that we only have about 18% of the cap to deal with. Obviously, if it goes higher, that number is going to change, but that's a little bit of kind of where we're at. So, anyways, that's just kind of my thoughts right now, where we're at for next year on the salary cap. This year, we're looking great. We still have about $5 million available. There's still money out there that we could to get to trade a couple guys or cut a couple guys to get more money if we need it. We right now, as it sits, so we did our thing. We have enough to sign our draft class and have $1 million or $2 million left over from that. But again, there's guys that we can move on from, with guys we can trade to free up money, and there's all kinds of things we could probably do if we got some extensions done, like Waller, or restructure Waller, or if we did an extension for Renfro, those types of things. We free up a little bit more money too. So there's definitely things out there. So it's all looking good. I'm really happy for Carr. It's a good, really team friendly contract that they did. As long as he balls out this year, the 35 next year will look great, because these quarterbacks are going to get paid a ton of money moving forward. And then if we get into the 40 million stuff, that means we're doing really good. Probably means we're very competitive for a Super Bowl, if not winning a Super Bowl. So I think it's all great for the Raiders on that front. The team's looking good. We brought in Bauer, defensive end, so no guaranteed money there, just as a roster comment there. So no guaranteed money, but he is a Patriot guy. And so that kind of completes the cycle, right, with Patriots everywhere and all the position groups. And we kind of knew that was going to happen. So, but anyways, I'm really excited to talk about the next player here. And I got two players, because Demarco Mathis has a interview, top 30 visit scheduled for the Raiders, or if not, it already happened. And if you remember, 2 videos ago, I did some guys that I thought the Raiders should bring in, and they actually had brought in 2 of them, Jeremiah Moon and PV, the defensive tackle, and the Jeremiah Moon, the linebacker from Florida. And they actually brought those guys in. And the other guy, I give you 5 guys. The other guy that I gave you was Demarco Mathis out of Pittsburgh. It's really sticky, twitchy, really good press man-to-man corner. And they say he's a little undersized. I don't think he's really undersized, given what the Patriots usually get. They usually get guys that are around 5'11" and 190 to 200 pounds. Is exactly what he is. He's got good arm length. You see it here. It's like 32-inch arm. So he's, to me, in my opinion, not undersized, but other people, I guess, beg to differ on that. But nonetheless, we highlighted him 2 videos ago, and sure enough, he's showing up today as getting a top 30 visit, or already having one. I'm not sure if it's happened or if it's scheduled. So, good guy to keep an eye on, and very excited about that coming up for the Raiders. And it's interesting who they've brought in. They so far, defensive backs, there's 9 defensive backs. Kalen Barnes, Cordell Float, Mario Goodrich, Tariq Woolen, Marcus Jones, who I think is a safety, but we'll cross that bridge later, Cortez Davis, Isaac Taylor Stewart, Alton Taylor, and Demarco Mathis. So that's 9 cornerbacks, essentially. So you can kind of see where the Raiders are going here. Kind of what I just mentioned with the salary cap. They're going to want to bring in their own cornerback guys, and then hopefully be able to sign 1 or 2 of the guys they just brought in. Obviously, you have Trayvon Mullen, who I think is going to get traded. Amik, who will be traded or cut. I don't think he survives all of this, but we'll see. He'll be a camp body or a camp guy to compete, right? But the other guys they brought in, Darius Phillips, compete. Rocky Sin and Averett, great guys to have on the team. So kind of interesting there what's going on. But I definitely see him bringing in 1 or 2 cornerbacks. I mean, I was thinking 1 cornerback, but maybe now 2. If they're bringing in 9 guys for visits and they're not done yet, I'm sure there's others coming in. They're really looking heavily at that position. But excited to know that I highlighted 2 videos ago, Demarco Mathis, and they're bringing him in. So good, we're on the right track. And I've talked about this guy on the program a lot. Receiver Christian Watson. I think he's the perfect complement, honestly, to him or Kevin Austin, or another guy that I'm going to have later on the mock draft as well. So Christian Watson, I mean, if we're interviewing Christian Watson, I mean, the chances of his being in the 3rd round, I don't think are very high. So it kind of tells me maybe we're trying to move up. I mean, there's the guys that they've brought in for the visits. There really hasn't been a top tier guys they're bringing in. Devontae Wyatt, obviously brought him. He is a 1st rounder, so that's interesting, but great player. awesome to get him, but I don't know if that's going to happen. So we've had 5 defensive linemen come in, but there's also been five receivers, I believe. Let's see, Danny Gray, Izuma, I think, from Texas Tech, Christian Watson, and let's see here. Maybe there's only been 3, I guess, receiver wise that have come in. Yeah, there's 3. So hasn't been a lot going on with the receivers, but still, the fact that they brought him in because the other 2 guys are very late round draft picks. Oh, Justin Ross as well. So I guess there's been 4, and Justin Ross actually fits right into uh, where they're drafting at. But Christian Watson, I believe, is a second rounder. I mean, potentially a first round, but I think they're probably going to look at him more as a second round pick. So, but he would be a great alternative to Devontae Adams on the other side. He's long. He's a red zone threat. He's fast. He's very athletic. Kind of the Marcus Scantling, if you will, kind of what the Green Bay had, right? That yin and yang with the proven route runner, ex big time receiver on one side, and then a fast, lengthy, athletic receiver on the other side. That would be a great compliment to Adams, and so I really like that fact that they brought him in for a visit. So very, very, very cool. So the next thing I wanted to do is a mock draft, and so um, I use Walt's mock draft because I think right now he's, from what I'm seeing, he's sort of the most accurate. I don't know who's the most accurate. I have no idea. Just my own personal opinion, what it is. And so I went ahead and went from where we pick 80. So let's just say get third round, for example. I went 5 up, 5 down, and I did that because he only has 5 rounds. So I did that for round 3, 4, and 5. And so I'll give you the players that kind of fall within that category, and I'm going to give you 3 scenarios of how I drafted. But I look at it as a whole, and so yeah, we'll just kind of go with that real quick. So at 81, he has Chad Mombo, linebacker from Wyoming. Then he has Mechie, the receiver from Alabama. Godecki, the offensive tackle guard from Central Michigan. Abraham Lucas, the right tackle from Washington State. Zach Tom, the center tackle convert to center from Wake. Um, Christian Hines from LSU, the guard. Justin Ross, receiver. Tariq Castro Fields, cornerback from Penn State. Federian Mathis, D edge or D end, D tackle from Alabama. Nick Benito, the edge from Oklahoma, and then James Cook, running back from Georgia. So that's the third round that they have, kind of where we're picking at, and it's interesting. So the guys that we've brought in, Justin Ross, and I think that's it out of this group. Now, guys we've been tied to, Tariq Castro Fields, and I did see one report that we did visit with him, but I don't think it was accurate. I don't think we've done that yet, but that's a possibility. And then I highlighted Zach Tom in my last video as potential. Luke Odeki, I've highlighted him with us as well. So there's some different ones. So out of this group, the first scenario I did, I went ahead and picked Abraham Lucas. And that's just my own personal. So I don't know the Raiders do this, but Abraham Lucas to me is a starting right tackle. And I think when we get to this part of the draft, I think he's the last of the potential starters that I think could come in right away and start. The reason I say I don't think the Raiders necessarily do this is because I've said this on other videos. If they sign Illuminor and they sign Parker back on 1-year deals, cheap 1-year deals, is they're giving Leatherwood a chance to take that spot. So I believe that's what's happening with the line. So I don't think if you're going to do that, what they've done in their contracts, I don't think you go sign Abraham Lucas because Abraham Lucas to me is a starting right tackle from day one. And so, but me, I'm cool with that, right? If Abraham Lucas comes in, he starts us day one, Leatherwood's there at guard. All right, let's do it. So that's the first. That's my third round pick, given the factors I have, and I'm going to do 2 more of these. So we'll come back to the third round. So just try to remember the guys I spoke of. And it was tough to make that pick. So the next round, the fourth round, they have Brian Asamoah, linebacker from Oklahoma, Isaiah Likely, who we met with from Coastal Carolina, LeBrian Ray, defensive tackle from Alabama, Tyler Beatty from Missouri, running back, John Ridgway, nose tackle out of Arkansas, Spencer Buford, offensive tackle from Texas San Antonio, Kobe Bryant, cornerback from Cincinnati, Sam Williams, outside linebacker, defensive end from Ole Miss. Jeffrey Gunther, defensive end from Coastal Carolina. Tyreek Smith, defensive end from Ohio State. And then Kate Otten, who I've seen the reports we've met with him as well. And that's only on one site, so I'm not sure if it's accurate, but that's it's been reported. Tight end from Washington. So in this draft, scenario one, I went ahead and picked Sam Williams, outside linebacker from Ole Miss, and I have no idea why Walt has him in the fourth round. He, to me, all day second round talent. I know he's got some off field issues, and that might be the problem. But I've highlighted him on the show here before. I think he's going to be a fantastic pro. Honestly, I think he's late first round, early second round talent. So if we got him in the fourth round, like I don't know why he's here, but he was. So I went ahead and picked him. I mean, he'd be the heir apparent eventually to Chandler Jones, but he'd be the guy to come in fill in for Chandler Jones. He could play defensive end as well if we want more pass rush. He could play the Sam spot a little bit, but no, he needs to be on the line. Actually wouldn't play him at Sam. Outside linebacker, pass rush, defensive end. Um, and just another pass rusher in. So I would totally take that. But his talent in round four is just, I mean, unthinkable to me. I don't see how that happens. But Walt's been pretty good. I think the last few years he's been number one or number two at predicting where these guys are going. So maybe there's more to the off-field issues than we know. So, anyways, next I went ahead and picked Matthew Butler, defensive end, defensive tackle from Tennessee. I really liked the pick. I liked him in the Shrine Bowl, so watching him. I've highlighted him on the show here before. In our 3-4 scheme, he would be the big defensive end. So when it's running downs, we didn't want Max Crosby maybe to play the run. We'd put him in, but he's Farrell just made much bigger, which is what Graham is looking for. Obviously, Aziz, who we brought in from Minnesota, is similar to this, 285. He's 300 or 295, but a big defensive 3-4 end. That's what we need because Farrell is not that, but the beauty of it is Butler can play the three technique really well, so he can go into the 3-4 defensive tackle spot. And he would really fill out our defensive line nicely. He would compete for a starting spot or heavy in the rotation. It's going to be a big rotation. I'm not going to get hung up on starters on the defensive line, but he would be a guy that would play a lot, I believe, in his first year and be very, very productive. So I really like that pick. And then next, I went ahead and went back to Tennessee, got Villis Jones. Again, speedster on the outside, guy could take the top off the defense, was awesome at the Senior Bowl. And I'm questioning his numbers at Tennessee. I just think he had a shitty quarterback, to be honest with you. So I think it's a great pick. So the draft I did, given Walt's draft, I should have went through the fifth round. Apology. So obviously we got two picks here, so I was able to get two people in the round. So Dontario Drummond, wide receiver out of Ole Miss, JoJo Doman, Nebraska linebacker, Jesse Lucetta, Penn State linebacker edge, Isaiah Pulamoa, safety out of USC, Brad Hawkins, safety out of Michigan, Katoe Ingram, running back at USC, Nick Grant, safety out of Virginia, Matthew Butler, who we just talked about, CJ Verdell, running back out of Oregon, Yusef Corker, safety out of Kentucky, Demarco Jackson, linebacker at App State. I know he's a Raider fan favorite. And then Villis Jones, wide receiver out of Tennessee. So those were the fifth round guys, and so I got two of those. So my first draft, and I think the best draft, Abraham Lucas, Sam Williams, Matthew Butler, and Velus Jones. Now, to make this the best draft, I think for the Raiders, if they did it, I think they would probably take out Abraham Lucas and put in Tariq Castro Fields to complete that draft. That's my thought because I just highlighted the fact that we have met with 9 quarterbacks and potentially 10 because I did see a report that we met with Tariq Castro Fields as well, but it's not confirmed, so I don't want to say that. But I think given the fact of what they've done with the line, I don't think maybe Lucas would be the pick. For me, it is. For them, maybe Tariq Castro Fields because that would give them a quarterback, outside linebacker, defensive end / tackle, and a wide receiver. I think those are the top 4 needs that they see. I think the tackle spot, if I could get a starter, I would do it. But hey, let me know what you guys think about the first round and what I did and my comments and things like that. But let's take a look at the second Second option I did, and this was tough. Federian Mathis, I really like this player. I would love the Raiders to draft Federian Mathis. He could play defensive end, defensive tackle, just like exactly what I just talked about with Matthew Butler. Same thing. We're just getting him 2 rounds earlier. So, but highly productive player at Alabama, would be awesome playing that defensive end role. Would be awesome playing the tackle role if we wanted to have him play more three technique. He can play up and down the line, super athletic, big production, gets after the quarterback, handles the run. Would be a terrific pick. And so I had trouble. I actually would the way it all set up. The first one I did. I didn't do Mathis because I knew I could get Butler, but to round out because I know we need a defensive lineman. So, anyways, let me know. Maybe you like number 2 better than what I think is the best at number 1. So, Federian Mathis was my 3rd-round pick, and then my 4th-round picks. I know we need a quarterback. I got Kobe Bryant out of Cincinnati. I do really like him a lot too. Yeah, so I just Castro Fields to me is a bit more athletic, but Kobe Bryant's a dog, and I do like him as well. And that's kind of where he fell as well in that Waltz draft. So, anyways, the next guy I picked was Jesse Lucetta. I think outside linebacker edge, could play up on the line as a defensive end. Uh, the only reason he's here, he should be a 2nd-round pick, in my opinion. He's here. He got hurt at the combine, so I'm not sure the severity of that injury, and I think that's maybe why he's in round 4. He's a little bit of a raw prospect, but again, we don't need him to come in and start right away. But physical specimen, fantastic guy. He's got a tremendous physical upside, so I definitely see that happening. And then I didn't really like this pick, but I know a lot of Raider Nation likes this pick, Demarco Jackson. I like the player. Don't get me wrong. I just don't see a fit for him in our system. He's an undersized linebacker, and Patrick Graham does not play with undersized linebackers. So that's why I think Divine Diablo is a strong safety in our system, but that's probably a different topic. But he's like around the 230-ish mark, and we just don't play with that style. However, he's a highly productive player, and I could see him moving to edge. And in which case, if you look at the Giants, they selected Quincy Roche, who's bigger, but just a really edge pass rush guy. And a lot of people also connect us to Nick Benito as well, who's similar as this. I know DeMarco plays mainly linebacker, but I could see him moving up to the line and just being a designated pass rusher as well in the NFL. So that's the reason I put him on here. The only problem, one reason I didn't like this draft is because Jesse Lucetta and Demarco Jackson, I kind of basically doubled up on the same position. I mean, Demarco Jackson is a linebacker, and Jesse Lucetta is an edge outside linebacker. So there is some differences in their games, but to me, it's not a solid draft. But the players themselves are awesome, so I could see the value in these players. So let me know what you guys think about that. Federian Mathis, Kobe Bryant, Jesse Lucetta, and Demarco Jackson. Let me know your thoughts on it. I'm just curious what Raider Nation has to say, and hopefully everybody's liking this. Please like, share, subscribe, that type of thing. And then the third one I did, I went ahead and got Tariq Castro Field. So again, I think the Raiders with my number 1 would probably do that over. But anyways, Tariq Castro Fields, and then I went ahead and got Jeffrey Gunther. This is basically Cleveland Farrell's replacement, but a little heavier. And could do all those things as a defensive end. Very good run stopper, 3-4 defensive end. He'd be awesome at it. And he can go down and play the 3 technique as well. But I really like this player. And I think maybe the Raiders maybe like him too. They did Isaiah Likely with the visit from Coastal Carolina. So maybe they had their eye on Gunther as well. So, but I think a very, very solid player. And then the reason I don't really like this draft at number 3 is because I ran out of players to draft in round 5. Katoni Ingram, USC running back. And obviously we have ties to USC and running backs. Our running back coach, USC. So there you go. There's some connection there. And then some people are mocking Nick Grant to us, and Walt did as well. I don't really like that. I mean, he's an okay player. I just don't think he does anything great. Like his physical traits don't stand out. There's some other safeties I like in the draft. And what's disappointing about Nick Grant to me is if you go on social media and stuff, I know social media is not a great place to go, but he's not a well-liked player by the fans for whatever reason. I couldn't understand quite the hesitation with him and the fan base, but they were down on him. But a lot of people are up on him, so I'm not. he's kind of, I don't know, maybe he's polarizing already. I'm not sure what's going on with Nick Grant, but anyways, Walt had him mocked to us, and so I just went ahead and went with his pick. So let me go back through it real quick so you guys can evaluate my draft and see what you think. So my favorite draft as a fan, um, the way I did it was Abraham Lucas. He'd be our starting right tackle, I believe. Sam Williams, outside linebacker, edge, fantastic athlete. Just I don't know about the off-field stuff, but tremendous player. Matthew Butler, very good defensive end. Big defensive end is what we need, what we're looking for. Play the D tackle role as well. And then Villis Jones, I got to take the top off the defense, complement Adams, get the speed on the outside that we need. That was number one. Number two, Federian Mathis, big defensive end, D tackle just like Matthew Butler, but it's 2 rounds better. So I really like that pick as well. Then Kobe Bryant is a dog, play all kinds of different coverages, but just a tough physical cornerback. Jesse Lucetta, edge, outside linebacker, uh, fantastic athletic upside. And then Demarco Jackson, undersized linebacker. I think he profiles a little bit as an edge defender. So just pass rush out of Lucetta and Jackson and bolster that pass rush. And then the third category is Tariq Castro Fields, very athletic, very long, cornerback out of Penn State. Could definitely play man to man, things like that. Jeffrey Gunther, a big defensive end out of Coastal Carolina, a guy that really, really is good against the run on the end. Could drop down into the tackle spot as well. And then Katoni Ingram, a running back, if we want to target a running back. I would hold off on the running back till even later in the draft, but hey, I ran out of options here. Then Nick Grant, kind of a polarizing, I guess, safety out of Virginia. Let me know what you think about him. So that's all I got today, Raider Nation. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, share, subscribe. More importantly, comment. Let me know how I did. Let me know what you would do. If you want, take a look at Walt's draft. He just posted one a day ago. Kind of go through it and kind of maybe do what I did. Take a look in case you couldn't remember all the names I mentioned. Take a look and see what you think, and then give me your best draft off of his mock. And love to kind of take a look at what you guys think. And anyways, that's all I got. Have a great day.